Okay, so this will be a microscopic video. So maybe we should start with the catamaran, what they call it, like the container that is dressed like between two wooden slabs, which is as I say the oldest and was most like it's from April, and it was most April or May, and it was most open to the air, like just covered by the nylon like this. That is like completely not sealed at all. I should say this will be a very non-thorough examination. In the past, most of the examinations in the channel were much more slower with searching for details. But I don't want to, for now at least, I don't want it to be my focus, and especially since I want to speak more about my politics and history, and this is especially so because I understood that so many videos that I already had, like nobody actually watches them, so it kind of like give me. And my motivation is also not that high because I don't get any money and I live in such poor conditions, and I don't see my daughter. So in any case, I need to muster a lot of motivation, like in this house arrest, to actually continue this research endeavors as interesting as they are. But this, when I understand that people actually didn't watch so many existing videos, I've kind of like it's very difficult to marshal the motivation to continue and to accept and to do it like when no one really cares, So, really, I wanted to be very quick in inspection, just as I say, mainly because in order for me to understand what's going on, like in the most like high level way in various containers, so I will know if there if there is a quick fixtures, opening to as they say, opening to the oxygen and replacing the lid with the sealed lid with kind of like a cloth with rope, things like that. They might be very easy and might. Maybe prevent like the destruction of the ecosystems, which again takes time to develop, sometimes many months. So this is the main issue here, not to search for credible evidence, because there is if what you want as viewers is to watch incredible evidence for alien life or for the existence of alien robots that are capable of doing magnificent things that have no explanation using the physics the tenor physics that are known to humans. If that's what you want, this is incredibly, understandable. It's kind of yes, you should want to see evidence of incredible types of alien life on Earth and of the existence of robots with abilities that not only beyond anything that humans can do, but also that cannot be explained using, by physical science as is known to humans today. But it's also already, existing in this channel in so many videos. So if the Israelis are blocking it, they can block this video as well. So what you need to do is just, to speak with the Israelis, not using mouses and tongues, but using arms and legs, because they will never understand the language that is done by movement of mouses and tongues. Only arms and legs. And then they will do whatever it takes. So you will be able to watch so many hours of documentation of that sort. So again, this is I do not seek to see now to provide you with more incredible evidence of alien life and of alien robots with tremendous abilities, because this is already done. What I want to do now is just to have a very quick review that will allow me to have maybe to get maybe perhaps emergency messages regarding and emergency bits of information regarding the various containers that I have. So I will be able to maybe conduct quick actions that will perhaps prevent the extinctions of the ecosystems that it takes months to actually develop. So I will do very, very quick examinations of the slides, and it's not the way I do it. I do it mostly. It's just because mostly it's completely different. I just want a very quick overview and to get general idea of what's going on in the various containers. So we start with the catamaran. We've already seen one sample for yesterday, but will be another one. using the 64 magnification and the magical microscope. Nice life forms. So we see circuits that it's difficult for me to know if they are neos or bubbles. Maybe we should zoom in. Maybe it will give us more clues. Because the thin neos sometimes look like bubbles or like microbial life forms that look like circles. Yes, so we can now see these are neos. At least some of them are definitely neos, which is good. Some of them are neos, which is good. Okay. These are life forms. Wow. Actually, interesting one. It's 160 now, the magnification. Maybe you should zoom out to see all of it. Okay, so pretty big one and complicated. These are fat life forms and neos on the side. Generally, this is what I want to see. Like, I mean, my expectation is to see the interaction, not because I don't know that it exists, of course. The interactions between life forms of various sorts, not only biological one, like carbon-based or biological, but all sorts of life forms, and the neos is the main subject of this channel just from the beginning. But the reason I want to see interaction is because I understood this regards, I mean, to the history of the what I call the aquarium experiments, that such interactions is actually very beneficial for the neos in order to enlarge. Because I would just say, I mean, I've said it in the past, that initially my assumption that was proven completely wrong is that after enough time, which is probably not a long time, either, I mean, the neos will die in battle, like all of them, destroyed by the various life forms that can multiply, of course, like whatever, I mean, type they are, they can multiply in, like, you know, presumably in an exponential way, or that the neos will kill all of it. But this was proven to be completely wrong, because in reality what happens is that I mean, they both and I mean, they are both flourishing with one another, because at least, I mean, given the correct terms, because they are not biological. I mean, they are not carbon-based. The neos, I mean, quickly kill all the carbon-based, like eat them, or create mutations out of them, or create non-carbon-based life out of them. But then, and these are also multiplying, but they are used as food for the neos. And then they only go. So I mean, so what actually happened is that, I mean, given the correct conditions, the ecosystem is only with time only flourishes with more and more neos and larger, more robots, more neo robots and larger ones, together with more life forms and larger ones. So maybe the initial assumption, I mean, probably was due to the fact that I have no, like, I don't have background in life science, and so my intuitions were completely, I mean, my intuition was derived coming from mathematical thinking or computer science thinking, that I mean, that I thought that, I mean, like, you know, that I mean, the number of life forms and respectively the number of neos is kind of like, I mean, like a series, like a tour, like a Taylor series, like, I mean, like a series of sums that, I mean, that could either converge to zero or to infinity, of course, within the boundaries of the container, of the ecosystem limits. And I saw that, I mean, that what will actually, like, I mean, what actually defines, like, I mean, whether it will be conversion to zero or to the maximum amount, like, I mean, to infinity, or like, I mean, to presumed infinity, is is kind of like a power difference, difference between a typical neuron and the typical like life form. And my assumption was that probably this kind of a coefficient is like, I mean, the range for this coefficient probably is very narrow. And so I thought, why should, I mean, the real coefficient will be like just fall in this narrow range. So I thought that probably, I mean, given enough time, which is probably a small amount of time, I mean, we will see all the Nero dies or all the life form dies. This was all of this was completely wrong, and again, it derives both from my misunderstanding of how this creature, the Neros, acts, even though I had a little bit of information, but not enough, but also from bad intuitions that derived from me not having any academic background in the life sciences. But because what we actually see is that this is completely untrue, because I mean, first of all, the power difference it doesn't really matter, because the Neros are always much stronger than the life forms. It's not like a fair fight. But I mean, what matters more is the ability of the life form, like to like how fast they reproduce, which is also something that is governed by the Neros, because they are the creation of the Neros, either by mutation or by like intelligent designs from scratch. So the Neros will not allow, I mean, like any kind of like life form, like, I mean, inside a container, to unless it's very big one that can just kill them, like, I mean, on the first battle. But if they survive the first, like, I mean, the first conflict, I mean, that means that they are now the dominant life form in this container. But what will happen next is that they will not be, it's not necessarily that they will be able to create more life forms, because again, if oxygen is needed and oxygen is not supplied, then they don't have, then they cannot create like more life forms, at least, I mean, that are consuming oxygen. And of course, that these life forms cannot be multiplied because they cannot live from the first place. So actually, I mean, the number of Neros and their size and the number of life forms life forms in the container, I mean, it's much more complicated, and it's kind of like a symbiosis that you need to carefully arrange. And certainly, it's not that it's not really true to say that they fight each other, because it's mostly true that the Neros are, I mean, they are slaughtering the life forms in order to eat, but they also, I mean, make sure that they will exist and multiply by themselves because they want them to exist. Like, but it's not only always possible, because this depends on the nature of these life forms and the nature of and the parameters of the container. So we see many Neros here. All of that, what I learned from, I mean, the lesson from all of that is that to see interactions between life forms and Neros is something that is, from my perspective, positive, because I understood that this is what allows the life forms to flourish, and also in the container, and also for the Neros to flourish. Because, as I said, I want, my purpose is to make them not only more and more of them, but also to create bigger ones. Like, I want to see one that is big. Like, it's a long-term objective to be able to see one that is visible in the naked eye. And I think that, as I said yesterday, that we are not far from there. That it's kind of like, I mean, that I believe that it might already happen. Just, I mean, maybe there is like a very few of those in one of the containers. I mean, and you know, I'm only taking samples. So, I mean, there are millions of everything that I see under a microscope. There are like millions of them, like in the container. But I mean, that's the nature of sampling, of course. So so we should say, okay, guys. So as we suspected, containers that are somewhat open to air circulation and to oxygen, even though they are quite covered with nylon, and they contain like a layer of protective beeswax, floating beeswax that somehow block circulation, are very beneficial. But we all very beneficial for the for the flourishing of the ecosystem. But we already know it. So, but yes, this is another it's another supporting evidence for that theory, which is great. So let's continue now. Now we will inspect 3 other slides that are taken from containers that are less. I mean, that first of all were sealed and not without air circulations and like probably oxygen deprived situation, and also they are from very different, like I mean, mixture than the ones that you've seen yesterday. So this one is characterized by that it contains very large amount of just my pee. I mean, initially. But that's a scary microbe. This is 64 magnification. This is the beginning of the slide, the start of the slide. So let's start. There's all sorts of sites that I don't understand if these are life forms or debris, like I mean, of all sorts of things, material. Like this is a life form for certain. Wow, this one is big. I don't really know what it is. I'm not sure if it's the Nero, a life form, like, or a Nero that is like eating a life form or creating a life form. I really don't know. What is it? It looks like a gate in because I mean what's inside completely different from what in the eyes outside. It looks a little bit like a gate. Sometimes Neros looks like gates, which is funny and perhaps even true. I don't know, but who knows? It's one of the theories that I had in the past, but I have no proof for it at all. So it's kind of like science fiction. Just I would call it hypothesis, like fantasy hypothesis more than like theory, because I really had no way to actually. I mean, I've never seen a gate in my life, but one of the many hypotheses that I had regarding like, the nature of the gates is that they are actually Neros, like very big ones. But but I mean, again, I have never seen one in my life, and I have no way to disprove or. So it's just kind of like, one of the many hypotheses that are just came to my mind. But and maybe you that have seen the gates can tell me if if it makes sense to you in any way. That the gates is actually Nero at a very big. Actually, it actually doesn't need to be very big. I mean, it's only required that a human to be crawl on it. So perhaps I mean even like half a meter radius is enough. Like yes, like I mean, even less than half a meter. Even like I mean, yeah, I mean like even 40 or 30 centimeter radius is enough for like human to comfortably crawl in it. So, but it's still much bigger than what the ones that you see here. But it's kind of like a fun speculation that I can't like disprove or prove at all, but I've thought about it in the past that maybe the gates themselves are neros. So what can we say about this mixture? First, we can say that we see neros here, but not very big ones. And we see life forms. You know what? I will not do. Let's maybe wait with the analysis for another time, because I don't want to just throw like conclusion out of my sleeve. And again, this should be just more like an evidence-based video more than like discussion. So let's just take a look and wrap it up, and maybe some other time I will discuss, like after I rewatch these videos, and I will discuss like what I think we see. This one is very nice. Maybe we should try to zoom a little bit. This looks like a rabies. The one in the left looks like a rabies germ. Okay, so that's about it. Okay, so let's continue. Again, not much discussion because I want to like wrap it up relatively quickly and continue with stories of past. Stories from the past of this earth. So this one is from a relatively new container, only maybe 2 weeks, and it's based on seawater. I don't expect to see much because it's really new ecosystem. Although I should say that in general, without any information, just by intuition, it could be argued that it makes more sense that these creatures the neros will be more fit. They preserve very well in oil material, not in or in or even acrylic, like hard acrylic or things like that. They do not. Water is not the best way to preserve it, but in case we assume that they should also be able to live in kind of mixtures that contain some level of, some amount of water. I would guess that salt water perhaps is should be more convenient to them than fresh water. First, because of the issue of the conductivity, to some extent salt water is increasing conductivity. And also because my hypothesis is that when you find these creatures in natural ecosystem, they probably derive energy in some way from the core of the earth, from below and not from above, not from the sun, which is very probably not always able to give them the energy, but in some way from geothermal vents or from electrical currents that that start from the core of the planet. And these kind of scenarios can instinctively, correct me if I'm wrong, but instinctively they are much probable to occur on oceans and not on lakes or rivers. Okay, so we see some life forms here, definitely. Nice. Even pretty big ones. This is the 64 magnification. When I took the water, I also added a little bit of sand from the beach, from the sea floor, like I mean, right next to the beach. For certain, and also I've added a little bit of oil to the mixture because I know from experience that they do not survive very well in any kind in water that is not at least mixed with oil, and it's best for them if you only want them to survive. It's best just to put them in oil or acrylic or or things like that. Like I mean, water in general is not very good for those creatures. Even though, as I said many times, my main almost all my experiments starting some point with the Neros were in some way related to electrolysis as part of the experiment. And I know that it's a cumbersome process, and I've spoken about it a lot about all the disadvantages of the process, but I cannot explain like in one sentence. It's described in these videos what many hours of both like theory and evidence why I use electrolysis and what's the parameters, and anyway, so for electrolysis, the basic stuff, the basic material must have conductivity, and so if you use just oil, there will be no flow, like no current. So there is like a balance. So that's why it's only one of the reasons why electrolysis is so cumbersome, because you need to find like the correct like mixture, and the correct wiring, and how to use magnets. It's like a whole like Torah Shlema, like theory of how to use magnets like to enhance electrolysis, and then temperature control, because things are getting burned very quickly. Not the Neros themselves, but everything around. Like the container and the other material is burned, so you need like temperature control, and this is somewhat it changed like doing the experiment, because when they multiply, the conductivity of the mixture becomes much higher because they are superconductors. So then there is like there is more conductivity, which presumably is good, but not always, because even though they're superconductors and presumably they generate almost no heat, like when they work, or a very small amount of heat, there are other stuff like in the mixture that are not so superconductors, and and they are generated more heat. So the temperature, grows very fast, and so you start to see steam, and so it's like a whole new. It's a very cumbersome process that is documented very like heavily in this channel, and I understand that there must be better ways to do it or not. I don't know. Maybe it's just the way that it is, and maybe it's based on like a natural phenomena, like natural electrolysis pools that exist in Venus or wherever, like in other place. What are these? Okay, this is creepy. This is huge and creepy. Okay, this one is 64. Oh my God. So this is a bona fide monster. It's 64 magnification, and it's huge. Yep, we found a new monster. So, ladies and gentlemen, can you say what it is? Cute little Neo. So as I said, electrolysis is a cumbersome project process, but it helped me a lot to do amazing stuff. And but one of the issues is that you need like the mixtures to be conductive, like from the first place. And oils, at least industrial oils, that that can be, and you know, maybe there is kind of like an oilish material that is also very conductive. I'm sure there is something like synthetic things like that, but again, I need to limit myself to things that I can buy like literally in the grocery stores, and they cost very small amount of money, because I have almost nothing. Like I have almost no money at all, so it's another consideration. Of course, if I had like a laboratory and money, maybe I could have like bought like some kind of material that is both, have the properties of oil that are good for the preservation of the neurons, and also that is conductive. All of this is widely documented in the channel, so if you're interested in it, just watch the existing videos. I cannot, it's like months of research and many experiments, so I cannot do a TLDR of everything. Okay, so this is the second one. Let's do this was the third one, and now we should have a very quick review of the fourth one, which, as I said, is from what I call the alien aquarium, which is complete. Almost no oxygen at all, because it's completely sealed. And to begin with, there was a very small amount of oxygen, because it's based only on like paraffin and linseed oil and beeswax and things like that. So there is almost no oxygen to begin with, and it was completely sealed up to the top. So if we see anything thriving here, it means that it's for certain things, robots or life form, whatever you want to call it, that do not require oxygen in order to flourish. These look like neurons that are in kind of like, hibernation period, like, blocked neurons, like neurons that, are not in action, not active, but not dead. And these look like another gate. Funny ones, they really look like gates. What can definitely be said here is that we don't see life forms, or almost, certainly much less than we've seen like in any other slide. And again, this gives me, you might say that this is like, trivial, but it's not trivial, because it's alien science. So nothing is trivial. But again, this supports our conjecture that these life forms, even though they are not carbon-based and they are not like biological, and they might be like called robots from your perspectives, they do require oxygen in order to be created, in order to live. Or perhaps not oxygen, but another thing that is like another gas that can be found on the air, like on the atmosphere of the Earth. Because the atmosphere doesn't contain only oxygen, of course. Maybe, I don't know, nitrogen, I don't know. But maybe the problem is with nitrogen, I don't know. Oxygen is just a kind of like, it's kind of like a first guess, because humans need oxygen, and many other life forms need oxygen, but it's something these life forms require something that can be found on the atmosphere of the Earth, like in the lower levels of the atmosphere of the Earth, or in other ways in the air that we breathe. And a good guess would be just oxygen, but who knows? What we see here is what we've seen in the other like sealed containers, that things that look like neurons, but that they are like blocked neurons. This one is interesting enough to zoom in into it. Let's see what we can see. Where was he? This is also interesting, but I've kind of missed my my object. Wait a second. Let's zoom out again. So we've seen an interesting one. Yes, this is here. This one. Let's focus on the guy. Now zoom in. Maybe even more zoom in. This is dirty lens, sorry. I should clean it. Yeah, so this is the object that we've seen in the middle of this weird Nero. Can't make much of it. You can see another Nero inside this. This happens in big ones. So okay, we don't have enough information. Let's continue. In 64. These are, so what we see is both living Neros and Neros that I call it like in the block state, and I don't really know what is this state. Are they dead? Because from my experience, when they die, I mean their body dissolves after some time. That's why when I see things like that, I think maybe, and this is kind of a new product. As I said, it's new to me. I've said it previously yesterday that it was not something that I've seen in like, at least not in abundance in the previous experiments, like things that look like Neros, but that are blocks, like that are. And I'm hesitant. Oh, this one is disgusting. I'm hesitant to say that this is actually. Okay, so before we inspect this one, I would just say that I'm hesitant to say that these are dead ones, because I've seen dead ones, and usually when they die, first of all, there's like a different way of how they look when they die, which is kind of like, I mean, like a gruta, like, I mean, like a crushed car, like, I mean, like an engine that is like, I mean, crushed, and after some time they just dissolve, like, and you see them dissolve. They do not like keep, like, I mean, their bodies are not typically just stay on the slide like a fossil forever. It's just starting to dissolve, and then it's disappears after some time. And it is. I mean, it's massive. In fact, it's not what we see here. So maybe this kind of like another kind of like phase in their life cycle, which is kind of like maybe hibernation. I don't know. So now let's inspect the monster. We've seen. So this is the monster. Whoa. And we see a sausage, which is very, very typical to the monsters. Yep, so bona fide monster, another one. So it's not called alien container just, I mean, for nothing. It's because it contains aliens. These are nice. I like the gate theory. What do you think about it? Like, I mean, I've never seen a gate in my life, so can you tell me, does it look like a gate a little bit? So I have no way to prove or disprove it, because I've never seen it in my life, and of course I haven't seen a photograph of it in my life. So we see a very lovely Neros here. which it's actually to be expected, because I've known from previous experiments that they live in themselves, like they live very well inside what I call the alien. That's what I call it, the alien container, because I know from experience that they are stored very well in airtight containers that have like large amount of wax and industrial oils. This was proven like in previous experiment. That's what I call it, the alien container. So I'm not surprised to see like very nice neros here. And I'm also not surprised that we don't really see many life forms, even we've seen a monster right now, but we don't see much. And I think that, again, this should be explained by the lack of air circulation, maybe because they need oxygen, or maybe because they need another thing like nitrogen or whatever that they can find on the air or like on the atmosphere of the Earth. And maybe this is actually relates to kind of like build-up of material that needs to get out, like and cannot get out. Maybe this is the issue. Like build-up of gases that just stay there and disallow the continuation of creating more life forms. This is more near, like this is really a new phenomenon. That's we've seen it very rarely. Relatively rarely in the past, because again, I know how they look when they die. And it's not the way that I'm used. Maybe these are dead ones, but there is like other ways. There is another typical way that how they look when they die. And first of all, they look like broken. They look like a car after a total loss accident. And after some time, they just disappear. And they don't stay like that for a long time. Okay, interesting. So that will be enough for now. Maybe later I will take more samples and conduct more analysis, but I don't have right now time for that. And really, I want to be more focused on like continuing the historical and political sagas that I still have much to say on both, and I think it's important. So let's continue with that. And as I said again, if you want to see amazing stuff, if you want to see like amazing, hard proof of amazing alien life forms and hard proof of amazing alien robots that can do things that cannot be explained at all using any tenet of like existing known science that known to humans. These are not this is not the right way to do it, because I've already done that. It's in this channel. There are so many of those videos in this channel. So you need to watch these videos, and if the Israelis are blocking them, they can also block these videos. So, it's already there. It's already in this channel. Just watch it. Still, it was taken like during the last 6 or 7 months, and just watch it. Okay, so soon I'll eat something and we will drink a coffee, and we will. When I say coffee or tea, I mean coffee or tea. It's not an Israeli metaphor. I'm not part of their perverted material, like culture. So, and then we'll continue with speaking about the bicycle saga and perhaps also the origin story.